Welcome to our last stop. This is the PMA Academy session. This is our last stop on our global month, and we are looking at Asia this week. I'm super excited for this panel. We have representatives from Japan, Korea, China, Taiwan, and Hong Kong on this panel. So tons of great information from some really fabulous territories that we're going to get into. Before we get started, I wanted to say a quick thank you, as always, to our PMA Academy session sponsors, APM Music, Adverb, Tunesat, ASCAP BMI, and NMPA. We really appreciate the support. As always, thank you for your sponsorship and your partnership. What else? I think that's it from my end. So I am going to toss it over to Ron Mendelsohn from Megatrax, who will be moderating our session tonight. Thank you guys all for being here. If you have questions, leave them in the chat as always. We'll get back to them at the end of the session. Otherwise, Ron, take it away.
Great, thank you, Morgan. Thanks everybody for being here. This is going to be a really fabulous panel. We have a just terrific group of panelists here representing 5 countries across Asia in real time. It is now Wednesday morning, 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. in Asia right now. They are coming to you in real time. We've rehearsed with them. They have some really fascinating information to share with everybody. This is really exciting. Let's jump right in. Let's have the panelists briefly introduce themselves. Jae, let's start with you. Introduce yourself, please.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jae Kim from a company called MediaCube in Korea. So we are the biggest sub-publisher in our territory. So yeah, nice to meet you.
Thank you, Jae. Mike, how about you?
My name is Mike Duer. Hello to everybody out there. I work for Sakura Notes company in Tokyo, Japan, representing libraries from all over the world, actually, for the last 25 to 30 years. We've been around a long time in our territory.
Thank you, Mike. Dana, how about you?
Hi, hello from Shanghai. I'm Dana from Sony ATV China and service for production music over 15 years. Okay.
Thank you, Dana. Cathy, how about you?
Yeah, hi, I'm Cathy of Sony ATV Hong Kong, and I'm taking care of the production music and also the A&R. Nice to meet you.
Thanks, Cathy. And finally, Ava from Taipei. Ava, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Eva from Taiwan. I'm in charge of streaming music and EMI production music.
Great. Thank you, Ava. And thanks to all of our panelists. Just a full disclosure before we begin, most of these fine panelists are Megatrax sub-publishers in Asia. So full disclosure. Okay, let's jump right in. We have some questions. The first question is the obvious question on everybody's mind. What has been the impact of COVID on production music in Asia, and how has it affected your team? Is your team working remotely? Mike, why don't you kick this off?
Okay, as far as the COVID situation, of course, the regular production of TV shows by and for the broadcasting stations have been greatly restricted between the months of March and August. And of course, the result was that the realignment of programming with the broadcasters to air reruns of old shows. They just couldn't produce new shows during the pandemic. So we are quite afraid and suspects that the broadcast performance fees, well, broadcast income, mechanicals inclusive, to be distributed this coming December, and the following periods will be quite restricted, reduced.
Yeah, Mike, is your team all working remotely now at Sakura Notes?
Partially. I go into the office maybe 3 days a week in between the hours of 11 a.m. and 4 p.m., you know, in order to avoid the public transportation crowds. But yeah, we're adjusting to do the best we can.
Right, right. Dana,
Yeah.
how about you? What's been the impact on the COVID crisis on production business in China, and is your team working remotely?
Yes, in fact, all of us have already back to offices in September, and the whole industry had becoming more and more better. But I should say that a big pressure to in fact, for TV drama, for film industry. So my partner from production house or production studios, they have really a big impact from the virus. So we will support them to how to say that, okay. I will support my partners to more and more better for their business. Sorry for that.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that everybody's back at work in Shanghai. That's good to hear. Cathy, how about you? What is the situation in Hong Kong?
Yeah, actually for this week, we start to resume from work, but for the previous months that we are just working from home. So if you ask about if there's impact of the COVID, of course, I will say yes, because actually I can see from the market that there are less production all around, maybe also not only the film, maybe also the TV commercials. So there must be possible impact on the whole production music market. Yeah.
Okay, but you are back at work in the offices now, it sounds like.
We back 4 days a week.
4 days a week. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Eva, how about Taiwan? What is the situation in Taiwan?
Now we are working as usual, so we need to go to office every day.
Okay, so the office is open in Taiwan.
Yes.
Okay, have you seen any cutback in the film TV production in Taiwan or advertising?
Yeah, it has been impact our income of commercial film in Taiwan. So it's in our situation.
Okay, okay, thank you. Jae, how about you? What's the situation in Korea?
There's a small lockdown in Q2, but now it's almost back to normal. But people are very concerned about limited indoor activities. So cinemas and the music venues are still not working very well. Nobody goes to the cinema. So the most infected, impacted industries for us is a film industry, film and promo and trailers. So they some of them stopped to distribute over the cinema, so they switching direct distribution to the Netflix or something. So, but we still working at office. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. Well, that's a good segue to our next question about, just in general, what are the primary income streams in Asia for production music? Jae, why don't you start with this? What are the primary income stream in Korea for production music?
Still majority are from the sync, because for the performing, our society have a waiting system, so they do not distribute 1-to-1 ratio with the commercial music. So production music is almost like a 10-to-1. So even though it's a one same sync, we are get like just a 10% of a commercial music, which is that caused the limited income to the performing.
Well, that's very interesting that production music is paid only 1/10 as much as commercial music.
Yeah, sometimes like a 1/20th. Yeah, depending on the live performance. Yeah.
And you're referring to performance, I assume, the performance side. That's interesting. And in terms of synchronization, what's the primary usage for production music in Korea? Is it advertising or program or something?
Or general, like we collect most of the high pricing incomes are from film trailer promos and advertisement, because in our society, they do not distribute performing for the film promos and advertisements. So that's why sync fee is high. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And Mike, how about you? What's the primary income stream in Japan for production music?
Well, the biggest income comes from broadcast performance and mechanicals, which is what you would in other territories call synchronization. But it's JazzRack collects annual so-called broadcasting fee from each of the TV broadcasters, and they sort that out between performances and mechanicals in the bracket sync, and then distribute to us. So those would be our biggest sources of income.
Right. So performance is your main source of income, it sounds like.
That's right.
And I just want to point out to all the attendees that we did some research. JazzRack distributes over $1 billion per year in performing and mechanical fees, which is on a par with ASCAP and BMI distribution. So JazzRack is by far the largest society in Asia by a factor of 10 or more. Dana, how about you? How about China? What's the primary revenue stream for production music in China?
Yes, synchronization is the most important part of our income because we have limited from MCSC about performance, but sometimes we will license to our user for performance directly.
Mm-hmm. And so that's interesting that you can do direct license of performance in China.
I mean, not for TV station, radio station, but for some shopping mall, some area, a public area.
Mm-hmm. So in the area of synchronization, where is production music primarily used in China? Is it used in film, television, advertising, shopping mall? Where is it primarily used in China?
In the past, the advertisement and TV and film is the most important part. But these years, this 3 years, maybe most important come maybe from apps.
Oh, from apps. How interesting.
Short videos.
Very interesting. Okay. And by the way, if anybody has any questions as the panel is going on, please put them in the chat and we'll get to them in the Q&A. Cathy, how about you? How about in Hong Kong? What are the primary income streams for production music?
In Hong Kong, the primary income will be performance, because cash is a very well-established body in Hong Kong to collect the performance income. And so they will have the blanket license with mostly all the online media and also the TV stations. So most of the income for us will be from performance. Yeah. Very
interesting. Eva, how about you? In Taiwan, what's the primary revenue stream for production music?
In Taiwan, we primary income is from a blanket license and the needle drop, and the digital service.
Okay, and then you were telling us about that you have contracts with Chung, telecom, internet to play music in stores. Can you talk to us a little bit about what kind of deal that is and where are they using the production music in these stores?
Yes, we are licensed digital service and we have some contract with KKBox. And it's offer store to play the music from the phone play and via Zhonghua Telecom Internet. And KKBox will distribution the loyalty to us every season. And every store can use the KKBox music and they can play the music in the store.
That's very interesting. And what kind of music are they playing in the stores for production music?
They have I think over the 30 channels in the KKBox. So such as piano music or easy rock or electronic music or dancing music.
Very, very interesting. Okay. I'm glad to hear about that revenue source with KK Box in
Yeah.
Taiwan. Okay, let's move on. So we had some questions already come in. So let's just take one of those questions now. And one of them is from Simon Anderson at Audio Network. And Simon is asking about the Chinese Copyright Society. And this is a society that was recently formed. It was formed in 1992, and their revenues are growing, even though apparently, according to Dana, they're not paying for production music yet. But the last I checked, they're currently distributing $32 million in mainland China for performances. Presumably, that's for commercial music. So the question from Simon is, and this is for Dana. Dana, what are production music libraries' experience of working in China, and what can be done about getting royalties from MCSC, which are now almost non-existent? Would you please respond to that, Dana?
In fact, I have contact with MCSC several times, but as I know, they haven't have the technology to test the production music. And if we give them some, the cue sheet of production music, which we provided for TV station, they said we should give them other approval for production music, which we use in TV station. That's why and as I know, they already give some performance fee to the comment to cash in Hong Kong. So I will check the income from cash if they have any part from production music. I will check that.
Interesting.
I'll check that.
Interesting. And Dana, just so you know that we had the same battle here in the U.S. with ASCAP and BMI, getting them to pay for production music and getting them to pay for music in commercials and promos and advertisements. So it's a fight that the production music business needs to have with societies like MCSC so that we can be paid fairly. Just want to make that point. Another question, a follow-up question from Simon, again for Dana. How are digital platforms licensed in China, such as Tencent and TikTok and other digital channels, and are these performances paid by MCSC?
First of all, I should say MCSC won't in charge this part. They won't in charge the income from any rights license from digital platform. And then, yes, we have some contract with Tencent group, and the group, not to the TikTok directly, but to, I don't know the name of the group. It's in Chinese, 今日头条. Yes, we have a contract with all of them, but we still have no particular license to Tencent directly. We only have the cooperation with part of them. For example, we already have license with Tencent Game, but not for platform music. Yeah, and we have a deal with the group of TikTok.
Okay.
But not for TikTok directly.
I understand. Okay. But it sounds like MCSC is not paying for any of these platforms, and they're just synchronization deals, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, MCSC won't in charge this part. We will license to these platforms directly.
Right. Okay. While we're on the topic of societies, I just want to touch briefly on the subject of neighboring rights, as this is a very hot topic in many parts of the world. And in Europe, production music libraries are starting to be paid on neighboring rights as in other territories. So first of all, I'd like to know, do any of your territories have a neighboring rights society? So please raise your hand among the panelists. Do any of your territories have a neighboring rights society that pays on performances of the master recording. Now, Jay, I think you said that there was one in Korea. Is that correct?
It's not fully neighboring rights society. It's more like a master rights society.
Yeah, master right. That's what I meant. I meant the master right. So, what's the name of that society?
Oh, it's I can remember the name, but yeah, there's a one society, yeah, which covers the master right, but they only allows registration for the commercial music and not for the production music yet. We claim a lot, but they always says that we are not ready for databasing for the production music. Yeah,
I see. Mike, how about in Japan? How are master rights handled? Does Jazz Rack handle that?
No, as in Korea, it seems we do have a neighboring rights society, in fact, but that was founded by the Record Company Association of Japan, which is a group of the Association for Commercial Recording Record Companies. So this the scope of target that covers neighboring rights include only those music that are commercially released. So it doesn't really include production music, unfortunately.
Okay, so that's the situation, but that was the case in Europe and other territories for many years, and now it is starting to change, and production music is starting to break through with master rights in other territories. So just keep that in mind. Now, Mike, if you don't mind me putting you on the spot, we had a very interesting conversation the other day where you explained to me that production music, for some reason, is not used in commercials in Japan. And I found this really puzzling because it's such an important revenue source for us in Europe and the US and elsewhere. So can you explain to us this unique situation in Japan?
Yes, it's a unique situation, I suppose. It's, I don't know the rest, we don't know much about the rest of the world, but it seems to be a unique situation. Traditionally, commercials, TV commercials, were done using music from commercially released music, but mostly in the form of tie-ins with the sponsors. Of course, they want to avoid huge payments of performances, etc. So what they do is via an ad agency, Dentsu, Hakuhodo, McKenna Erickson, those big boys, they would do a deal, a tie-in deal, whereby the sponsor will pay a lump sum fee to the publisher and a master usage fee to the record company as well, but comparatively small as compared to using copyrighted music, registered music. So when they do a tie-in, there is a 6 months, what would you call it, a grace period. Pardon me?
Exclusive?
Yes.
Right.
There'll be a grace period of 6 months that they could use the music as much, how many times they want, throughout Japan for that certain amount of money paid up front. And another form of traditional method in commercials are commissioned music, custom recordings.
Sure.
So the difficulty with the production music is that we register them as soon as we get, as soon as we get delivery from the original publishers, and we can't get away, or the sponsors can't do any tie-ins with us because they're already registered.
Mike, what it sounds to me is that the sponsors want exclusive use of a piece of music in the commercial, and that's why they can't use production music because we're not exclusive to that sponsor.
That's right. That's part of the reason, yes.
So aren't there any commercials where they don't need exclusivity, like radio commercials or local commercials where they don't?
Well, yeah. Local commercials and radio commercials come under a different category. They'd be whether or not it's true or not. You know, they come under the category of in-house produced commercials. So, but you know, the payments are rather limited compared to nationwide TV commercials.
Okay. That makes sense, Mike. Thank you for explaining.
Now, however, this just came in yesterday that JazzRack decided to do away with this so-called tie-ins with yet to be registered music. So it's opening up for us. But that would also mean another huge competition with the major publishers, because I think the major publishers probably pressured JazzRack, to make it easier for the sponsors to use well-known music, the Beatles, Let It Be, etc. You know, those that are already registered. But JazzRack have agreed apparently to open doors to those copyrighted music as well. So that has opened up, gives us a chance as well. Of course, we have to work on it. Huge competition.
Right. Well, that sounds like an opportunity. I look forward to discussing that with you further.
Okay.
Great. Well, let's move on to the next question. I'm interested to know, in each territory, what are the biggest challenges right now facing production music in your territory, and how you are addressing the challenge? Cathy, let's start with you in Hong Kong. What is your biggest challenge, and how are you addressing it?
I think that the biggest challenge nowadays is there are a lot of the royalty-free tracks in the market, and there are also some websites they are offering very cheap library tracks to the people. So what we are doing now is that we will be having more personal touch with our clients. Maybe we can provide them some tailor-made music, or we will be initiative and instead we will select the tracks for the project. So in order to enhance the personal connection between us and the client. Yeah.
That is a terrific approach that we've heard is very effective in combating the royalty-free sites, curating music, high-end client service, personalized service. So I'm glad to hear that's working for you in Hong Kong. Eva, how about you? What about in Taiwan? What's your biggest challenge, and how are you addressing the challenge? You're on mute.
The big challenge is royalty-free libraries in Taiwan, because our client indicated that the customer likes use the internet download from the online, because it's very cheap than our production music. And I think in order to improve this situation, I think I cannot reduce the license fee as royalty-free libraries as lower, but I can give the client discount if they want to negotiate the fee.
Mm-hmm. And how about providing better client service and more personalized service like Cathy was talking about? Would that work for Taiwan also?
Yes, it is personal studio, and because some customer like to customize music, so we do have a personal studio in order to make the customize music.
That's good. That's good to know. Track customization. Dana, how about you in China? What would you say are the biggest challenges facing the industry, and how are you dealing with that?
Yes, the big challenge for us, not only from royalty-free website, also from other competitors, because we are the most expensive production music in our territory. I should say that maybe not the most expensive, but one of the expensive production music in our territory. But we have the good relationship with our local studios, so we will improve our service to face the challenge from others.
Okay, so that's working for you too, just improving your service and nurturing the relationships. That's good.
Yeah.
Good to know. Jae, how about you? What is the biggest challenge in Korea and how are you dealing with that?
The problem for us is that and media power is changing. That's the big point, because terrestrial broadcasters are losing their media power. And they are creating expanding their content to the YouTube, Netflix, or something like that. So which causes our society's biggest incomes are from terrestrial broadcasters. And their income is going down, which also read the income for the performing is going down. So that's one of the big changes. And there's so many new medias like a YouTube, a Netflix, or something like that. And they have sometimes the publisher have a blanket deal with them, so it's not easy for us to control. And there's so many royalty-free companies such as Artlist or something. The client can download one time, they can use it forever. So which conflict our market. Yeah.
Understood. I understand all those challenges, and what are you doing to combat some of those challenges of the move to digital and the royalty-free libraries?
We have a limited approach. We segmentize vertically the client and the pricing. That's the only way we can deal with. Yeah, but it's quite limited. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mike, how about you? What's the biggest challenge in Japan and how are you responding?
The biggest challenge we've had past 10 years or so is that the market in Japan has been swamped with, numerous actually new production library catalogs, creating a huge competition between each catalog. That is really the biggest, not a problem, but that's a challenge here in Japan.
So how are you responding to that?
Well, to respond to that, of course, as you've mentioned, to provide better service, one of which is that we were the first ones in Japan to distribute music via website, digital downloads and all that. We are constantly striving to improve upon that, to provide a user-friendly setting to make it very easy for our users to download, search, also to provide counsel to the users who aren't, they're not always very knowledgeable about copyrights and such rights issues. So we give them advices and, to give a more personal touch. When they come to us, we give them all these different, the best answers. That's what we're hoping to do.
Right. So I think, we're hearing from all across Asia is, what's working in this competitive environment is just better service, personalized service, music curation, assisting clients, track customization, custom music, custom studios. And this is what's working across Asia. And in our experience, this is also what's working in the US. Let's go to the flip side question is, where are the opportunities for production music looking forward in your territories? Let's start with Cathy. Where are the opportunities right now?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, because the client now they only have limited cost for their production, so maybe some clients maybe firstly they would like to choose the pop music for the production, and now because due to the limited costs, they would then shift to use the library music. So I think this is a big opportunity for the library music licensing during the this situation. Yeah, and I think they are now more online licensing, and the people like the KOL in Hong Kong, so they every day they make a lot of the clips and they will then post on the YouTube or Instagram, so they need a lot of fast and easy selection music for them to copy and to use in their frequently clips to make every day. Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like you're finding opportunities in social media and digital
Yeah.
media.
Yeah.
Good. Eva, how about you? Where are the opportunities in Taiwan?
The opportunities I think is commercial thing is important in Taiwan too. So I think and the blanket license, and because I will try to promote the production music to the studios, and because the production music the quality is good, very good than the royalty free libraries, I think, and we have a good service with customers.
Right. And Ava, you were saying that you were finding opportunities also in social media advertising. Is that correct?
No, no, it's not the social media.
Oh, just in advertising.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Traditional advertising or
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Traditional advertising on the TV or internet.
Okay. Okay. Good. Dana, how about you? Where are the opportunities in China for production music?
It's similar like Cathy. For apps, as you know, apps growing fast in China, and we have more and more cooperation with apps, including clips and maybe some other servers. Okay, and as the impact from the virus, and we have more movies licensed for this for them for limited budget. So the more and more movie will choose our production music as their choice.
Oh, that's good to hear. That's good to hear because the films have limited budget, so they're choosing more production music, and you're also finding opportunities in apps and games. So that's good to hear. Mike, how about you? Where are the opportunities in Japan going forward?
Well, as with everybody else, web platforms and SNS, although the payments are still very low, there's a huge increase of usage in those areas. So we're hoping that we could grow, we let that income grow, especially with the current situation that we discussed earlier with COVID and everything. Broadcasters are, weakening. They're not as powerful as they used to be. They're more, Netflix, Amazon, and those people are producing their own shows to be not broadcast, distributed on the internet. So it seems that there's a shift coming.
So Mike, how has JazzRack been keeping up with all these streaming platforms, and are they paying for all those streaming platforms?
Yes, they do.
Good.
But like I said, the amounts are minimal still,
right,
per usage as compared to broadcasting.
Got it. Jae, how about you? What are the opportunities for production music going forward in Korea?
Oh, there's some chances for like new medias like YouTube and or also our local platform kind of things. There's now YouTube is changing from like B class contents to the A class contents. So major program providers are creating their own channels, and they are creating more contents over the YouTube or local platform. So there's a lot of increase of the creating contents for the new media. That's another chances, but we still waiting for the COVID come down. It will give us more chances for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Jay, with YouTube, are you licensing for the user-generated content? You know, what you describe as the B content or the professional content? What are you licensing?
As you may know, so YouTube used to be like a user-created contents oriented, but now it's more like a professional contents. Every TV broadcasters and program providers, they are creating their own professional channels, not commercial, not like a not private channels. So they are creating more and more professional contents on it. So which means that more chances for the licensing, yeah, for that contents.
Okay, and then Dana, you had a YouTube issue. Did you want to talk about the YouTube question that you had?
Yes, we don't have much cooperation with channels, and we do have some. We do have more and more license to films and TV dramas. And when the film released on YouTube on different channels, I need to release the claim lots of times, and I want to find a way to give a wide license to particular films or TV dramas, which can resolve the problems I met.
Okay, yeah. So the question is, you know, Dana's is wondering, can we whitelist not the entire YouTube channel, but just per production? So if there's anybody from AdRev on the call or anybody who knows the answer to that, please put it in the chat. You know, can we whitelist on a production? Basically, can we whitelist one film, for example, or one production without whitelisting the entire channel? If anybody has the answer to that, please put that in the chat for Dana. Okay, so now let's see. I see some questions here. Let's go to some of the questions. Morgan, would you please jump in and let's go through some of these.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a couple that I see right now. Anyone else that has any questions, please leave them in the chat. First question from George Shaw. I'm curious if there's much of a need for production music that uses traditional Asian instruments in Asia versus more Western orchestral contemporary styles.
This is a great question. So who would like to take this question? Dana, you're nodding your head. Would you like to take this question? Are they using traditional Asian music in China, or are they using more Western music?
Most of the time, Western music is okay, but for some particular days, I mean the Spring Festival, for some special holidays, we really need local music, but we have limited choice, and we're really working on it to find some suitable works for my clients.
Interesting. So where do you get the traditional Chinese music from right now?
I am working with some local writers for their own production music.
Very interesting. Okay. Who else would like to speak to this question? Is there a demand for a local Asian music or Western music? Eva, how about you? What about Taiwan? What style of music are they using?
Yes, I think in Taiwan is similar with China because we have some festival days, and they like to use the Western music like a Christmas, or if in Chinese New Year, and they like use traditional music.
So where do you get like the traditional music? Say you have Mid-Autumn Festival going on. So where are you getting your traditional Chinese music from?
Because we have some master recording for the Chinese New Year song.
Interesting, interesting. Jay, how about you? Is there a demand for traditional Korean music or even K-pop in Korea?
No, not much. You have to understand the contents. Most of Asian contents are more drama, more general. So they usually for the TV side, not for the promos. They are looking for more like a calm down, the more general music, and hip hop, country, and hard rock. Or very specific ethnic music does not work well with in general content. So it's even though like a historic Korean drama, they use more classical string arranged music. So it's not much needed for very traditional local music. Yeah.
What about in commercials? Don't they use K-pop and current Korean music in commercials?
Not much, not much. We use a lot of we place a lot of production music to the advertisements. Our share is over than 40% of entire commercial advertisement, and production music works well in general. Yeah.
Interesting. Mike, how about in Japan? Is there a demand for traditional Japanese music or J-pop?
In general, not really. Not traditional Japanese music. Very little usage in that. But we, like everybody else, we do have contacts with a few Japanese songwriters. And if there is a demand for such music, we contact them. But otherwise, in general, Western music is mostly used.
Interesting. Cathy, how about you in Hong Kong? What styles of music are most popular for production music?
I think mostly in Hong Kong, the most popular are the Eastern listening and the pop music. But as Taiwan and China, especially in the Chinese Lunar New Year, we will have more demand on the traditional Chinese music.
So where do you get the traditional Chinese music from?
Oh, we will also have some master recordings like Taiwan that we can license to the client.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Morgan, are there other questions in the chat?
Yes, there are. There was another one that was similar to this topic. I know a couple people answered, but what genre is most popular in their territory? So I know Cathy just answered that, but maybe
that's kind of an overlapping question. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, sure. So from Jordan Smith, Dana said that short video is now one of the most important verticals for revenue. Is it entertainment short videos or branded content short videos? And is it advertising agencies, production companies, or internal marketing teams that create the most of these short videos? So where are they coming from? Who's making them?
Okay, so Dana, the question is about a short video. And what kinds of short video are you referring to? Is it entertainment or advertising? What is it?
Yes, I've already seen the question on the chat, and most of cooperation which we made with the platform directly, not for particular personal, but the website will provide this music for their user for personal usage. Mm-hmm. And we also have some cooperation with some studios, which work for advertisement company or some short video maker.
Okay, thank you.
And as I have already seen another question from other person, maybe named Robert. He asked about the performance license for shopping mall. Yes, if we have this license to shopping mall directly, we need MCSC won't collect this part of license fee.
Okay, so you can do direct license with the shopping mall, it sounds like.
Yeah.
But not with broadcasting.
Oh, I beg pardon?
Can you do direct license with broadcaster, with television network, or only with the shopping mall?
We do have some license with broadcast, but not including performance. MCSC will collect the performance part from broadcast.
Okay.
We only directly license to shopping mall or public areas.
That's very, very interesting. Morgan, are there other questions in the chat?
Yeah, so this one is going to be for Eva. Charles Brotman said, I heard a lot of covers of American hip hop songs in background music at shopping malls, hotels, etc. when I was in Taiwan last year. Never from the original artists. Is that production music created in Taiwan?
So Eva, the question is about cover songs of American pop songs that are playing in Taiwan. And is this production music? Do you know, have any information about this that you can share with us?
Yes, it is a recovered pop song in Taiwan now, but it's not the production music.
It's not production music.
Yes.
Okay, so they're just regular cover songs, and it's not production music. Which
yes,
that makes sense. Okay, good. Morgan, are there any other questions in the chat?
Yeah, I see one more, unless anyone else has any to add. Is there a prospective view to increase sync and royalty fees in Asia for video on demand and online streaming platforms, given the shift away from broadcast and theatrical distribution?
Okay, so it sounds like, I think we touched on some of this, but it sounds like, okay, this is from Jae Liu. And it sounds like the question is, as performances shift to the internet from traditional broadcast, and since internet performances are not paid as well as traditional broadcasting, is there any possibility of increasing sync fees for the video on demand and the streaming platforms? So that's my interpretation of the question. It's in the chat. Who would like to respond to that? Dana, how about you? Because you have an interesting perspective on this. So are you able to extract higher synchronization fees for the streaming services in China than you are from the broadcast television networks?
Yes, we try to do that. We really get in touch with a lot of apps in China now, and negotiate the license. For them directly. Not of course, MCSC won't interest this part, so we just improve. We just make progress with working with the platform directly.
So Dana, who are the major streaming services operating in China? Do you have Netflix and Amazon, or do you have, is it Tencent? Who's doing the streaming movies and streaming video in China? Who are the major platforms?
Of course, Tencent is the most biggest one.
Okay, and do you have a license with Tencent for production music?
Yeah, we do have a cooperation license with Tencent Game Group, and not for all of them, but maybe for particular case, we will have license with them.
Okay, and what about Weibo and Weixin and the WeChat and all those huge social media platforms? Do you have licenses with all the Weibo and Weixin and all that?
Till now, not yet. But if the user want to release their films or something or some contents on Weibo or Weixin, they will get the license from us directly.
I see. Okay, we have about 5 minutes. Morgan, do we have time for any other questions?
Yeah, we just got a question in from Brad Siegel. How well do the PROs in these territories collect at the local level? And then how efficient are they at paying out to the local sub-publishers? and if we do not have a local sub-publisher, to the US PROs. So how is the distribution process from PROs from local territories to sub-publishers to the US?
Okay, Mike, perhaps you can speak to this, since Jazzrack is by far the largest PRO in Asia with over $1 billion, the equivalent of US dollars distributed every year, which pretty much dwarfs all the other societies. How would you respond to that, Mike?
Traditionally, Jazzrack they do a good job, I think. But traditionally, they would distribute and collect from the TV broadcasters, and each program, the users must submit cue sheets. But that was a bit iffy at times. Sometimes they got friends in a particular library company, and even though they use our music, they might pretend to have used the other company's music. But nowadays, since about 5 years ago, we have BMAT and Sound Mouse and NTT Data, who are using the finger printing technology, and we think, or we believe that it will be more efficient that way. And in general, things are working pretty well, and they do pay out correctly and properly.
So, Mike, Brad is also asking if a U.S. library does not have a sub-publisher in Japan, will they be paid efficiently or their publishing share, or would you recommend that they have to work with a local sub-publisher?
Probably best to have a sub-publisher, of course, because when an OP does not have a sub-publisher here, the monies will be sent directly to the society of that company in the US, ASCAP or BMI. But as we all know, things get really confusing, muddled up, and you never know when the money's coming. It could take a few years, and you just don't know what they were used in. Mm-hmm. So it's of course best to have a sub-publisher.
Right, and just real quickly, Mike, tell us, how are the TV stations or Jazzrack using technologies like BMAT to track performances?
Like I said, since about 5 years ago, we've had fingerprinting, but that was done by NTT Data, which is a subsidiary company of our telecom company. But since early this year, Sound Mouse and BMAT has been becoming, quite popular and being adopted by most of the major TV broadcasters here in Japan.
Terrific.
So, yeah, it'll be more efficient, we think. Yeah.
Terrific. And just to close the loop on Dana's YouTube question, I do see that you have some people responded in the chat to answer your YouTube question earlier. Morgan, how are we doing on time?
We have about a minute or longer, whatever you decide. We have about a minute to go.
Okay, are there any more questions?
Nothing that I see in the chat. I think we've covered everything, unless you have any last points.
Okay, well, let me just ask our panelists, is there this has been just a fantastic panel. Is there anything we haven't covered? Is there any other question or comment that any of the panelists would like to make in this opportunity to speak with all these people all over the world? If anybody has any comment, just raise your hand or question, and let's put it out there. Dana, do you have any more questions for anybody?
No, thanks.
Okay, very good. Well, if that is it, then let me just take this opportunity once again to thank all of our fabulous panelists for joining us 16 hours ahead when it is now Wednesday morning in Asia. This has been really an illuminating experience. And thank you so much for being a part of this. And thanks to Morgan for putting this all together.
Yep, I will echo what Ron said. Thank you guys all for being here. Thank you to the panelists. I know it was a late night for some of us in the US and an early morning for those in our partner territory. So thank you guys all for being here. We appreciate it. We'll see you back for our next PMA Academy session in a couple weeks. Have a great evening, great morning, great day, wherever you are, and we'll see you next time.